Welcome to the Indie Author Showcase. I am your host, multi-award-winning indie author Chad Robert Morgan, and let's get into it. First, let me give you a quick update on using Book Reverb. Now, I think I'm about done using Book Reverb. Overall, my impression is positive. Let me talk a little bit about what's happened. So, I put a little bit of money up on this thing. Now, again, this is a paid site. What you are doing is you're basically bribing people to read your book and leave a review. Now, technically, this does not violate Amazon's you can't pay for reviews things, because technically they don't have to leave a review. They could leave a book report. Basically, they need to prove that they read the book to get the money. And there's two ways to do it, one of which is a review. The review is actually the easier way to earn the money. So they're highly motivated to leave a review. You put up a bid, minimum bid is $6. And let's go a little bit about what we got out of this. Fear got a whopping 7 reviews, 5-star rating. Now, when I say 5-star rating, I mean from Book Reverb, not actually what's on Amazon. This is not an aggregate system. It is telling you what Book Reverb has rated it. Now, these reviews do go on Amazon, but it's not looking at your previous reviews and averaging that with your new reviews. So, 7 reviews on Book Reverb, 5 stars across the board. The Last Rite, which is the first book in my horror series, got 4 reviews, and it averaged a 4.5. Not bad, considering that was my first one. I was pretty happy with that. Again, it's not a perfect 5-star review because, again, you don't really control the reviews you get. They are honest reviews. The Last Rite Short Bites, Volume 1, got 1 review. Perfect review, 5 stars. Very good. Here's where it gets funny. I got 3 stars for The Baby Eater. Now, The Baby Eater is my most award-winning book. 4 awards and counting so far. Got 3 reviews, average of 3.7. That, to me, is incredibly low. That is very, very odd to me. We had a couple people that gave it a 4-star, which I think is fine. 4-star is a good solid review, and one person gave it a 3, which brought the average down. So, in a weird kind of way, this does help validate Book Reverb because they're not just 5-star stamping the book. I got a lot of 5 stars. They are motivated to rate you well. But obviously, it's not a promise. It's not a guarantee. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. And the other odd thing is I uploaded all my books, not just my horror books. Intergalactic Space Force 1 and 2, 0 reviews. Nobody was interested in reading that for $6. Very strange. So what could I do about that? Well, I could take the other books offline and leave just the comedy ones. I could up the bid for the comedy ones. You know, make it a little bit more enticing to want to read those. I don't know how well that would work because, again, you're not guaranteed a 5-star review. So if you're really kind of having to bribe somebody to read your book, I'm not confident you're going to get a really good review out of it. I read it because it was a lot of money. It wasn't really all that great. That kind of thing. So, all in all, I've had a positive experience with Book Reverb. It wasn't, again, The Baby Eater did get a little lower review than I expected. In a way, it's kind of nice, too, because when I was working on Fear, my goal was to one-up The Baby Eater, right? I think you want to do that with all your books, right? Your second book, you want it to be better than your first book. Your third book, you want it to be better than your second book. So, Fear, I wanted to outdo the success that I've had with The Baby Eater. And when I published it, I didn't feel like I accomplished that. I felt it was a good book, but I didn't feel like I outperformed The Baby Eater, which at that point was seeming like my magnum opus, right? Everybody was saying how wonderful it was, and how spectacular it was, and it was winning all these awards. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I, if I did. Now I'm getting reviews basically saying that, yes, I did. I did outperform The Baby Eater. Some of the people that have reviewed Fear are the same people that reviewed The Baby Eater. So, um, silver lining, I suppose. So that also brings up another question. As you, as a writer, how critical are you on your own work? Because it's always one of those things where, at least for me, when I'm writing, oh, this is fantastic. I'm better than Hemingway. This is fantastic. And then you go back to reread it and you're like, what the hell was I thinking? Was there a gas leak in the house? I mean, what state of mind was I in? So, I don't know, for me, it comes in waves. When I come up with that, oh, best idea ever. This is going to be fantastic. And then somewhere between getting it down on page, where it's not, what's in your head doesn't translate to the page the way you envision it, or maybe it's after that part and you're in the editing phase and you're actually reading what you wrote and you start maybe getting some second doubts or some third doubts or some fourth doubts. That is it to me. I mean, again, you tell me, as a fellow writer, do you suffer from that as well? So let me know. Speaking of comments from fellow readers, or fellow viewers, one comment I got was that, uh, take the Book Reverb with a grain of salt, because one of the problems with Book Reverb is that they are unverified reviews. And he was saying, yeah, that happened to me. I had a spike in unverified reviews, and Amazon got suspicious and like blocked the book. So that hasn't seemed to happen to me so far. I've only gotten 15 reviews across 5 books. So maybe use it a little bit. Don't, you know, go for the 250 reviews. Maybe try to get like 5 or 10 just to kind of prime the pump. Use it a little bit, just to be safe. If you do have an incident like that where you've done something like Book Reverb and it has had a negative impact, please let us know. I would love to. Well, I wouldn't love to hear that. I don't want to hear that. But if news like that broke, I would love to pass it forward as a warning to others. So, Book Reverb swears that it's playing nice with Amazon's policies, that you won't get in trouble. One viewer commented that it did kind of bite him in the butt, so grain of salt. Past couple of podcasts, the audio quality has not been all that great because we have been experimenting with new mics. The first lapel mic that I got worked very, very well, but it was limited in the number of people we could use. So I've been looking for a better one that can handle multiple people. The last one can only handle 2. We're going to have a big on-site special coming up in about 2 weeks, so I'm trying to prepare. So this week we are experimenting with the Servfun lapel mic. So this is a pretty nice little system. Again, you can order it separately or with a nice little charging box. This does handle 4 lapel mics. It's very similar to the one we did last time, except if you remember, last time the audio quality wasn't all that great. I did try to clean it up as much as possible. I think part of the problem with the last one was it had the noise canceling. They all have noise canceling, but the noise canceling kept cutting my voice out. It was struggling. I'm recording in my office. As you can see, the disaster that is still my office. My main PC is very loud, and I usually run Isotope to clean up the audio. So the noise canceling was struggling because it was trying to knock out the sound of my PC and it was knocking my voice out intermittently. I think that was part of the problem. But the other problem is it was still coming out kind of tinny. It was better than the last one. but I still wasn't happy with it. So now we're trying this one. Now, because the last couple wasn't all that great, I did kind of test this one ahead of time. And it did sound okay. It didn't sound fantastic, but it sounded good. So we might have a winner here. And this one cost me about $115, so they are getting more expensive. But hopefully we got that nice balance of quality and audio. And again, if I have to tinker with the EQ settings a little bit to clean it up, I'm fine with that. As long as I don't have to spend hours upon hours trying to milk a good audio recording out of a really bad mic. You know what I'm saying? So this podcast will be the ultimate test when I go to edit this. If the quality holds up over a long period of time, then I think we have a winner for 2 weeks from now. Otherwise, we're going to have to get an even more expensive mic. Ugh. But this is all for a very special event that's coming up in about 2 weeks. We will be recording, well, it'll probably be 3 weeks before you guys see it. We will be recording Sunday the 15th. So by the time I get it home and edited, it'll probably be the week after that you see that podcast. So that would put it, to look at the calendar. That would probably be the episode on the 21st. I have been wanting to do these on Saturday. Originally, I was aiming for a Friday. Then I'm like, well, Friday's a work day. Let's shift to Saturday. That seems to work better with my schedule. Now it's shifting to a Sunday. A lot of that is because of everything that's been going on in my life. As I've mentioned before, a few weeks ago, my mother passed. We're making final arrangements for the funeral. And then last week, literally a week from the recording of this podcast, my father passed away. So he was going south. He's been sick for a while. We raced up there to try to be with him in his final moments. And we didn't make it out of the house before he passed. So I spent a week with my family up north, helping my stepmother, helping my stepsisters. And so arrangements have been made. So next week is a normal week. The week after, I have back-to-back funerals to attend. So we are not quite at a regular schedule yet. So I do apologize for the disruption. I do believe one of the things to success or making this podcast successful is having a regular release date. If people have to hunt for your podcast, you're just making it much harder for them to tune in, and they don't tune in my opinion. So making it, not hitting dates, not being consistent is not helping with that. But I hope you can understand that, at least for the short term, it's not really a choice and it's not really avoidable. So March is going to be a very crazy month, back-to-back funerals. The end of the month, we're going to have WonderCon, so we probably won't have one there either. So yeah, I do apologize. But one thing about WonderCon is I was trying very hard to get a panel going, but I couldn't find the right person to talk to schedule that. So I don't think we're going to do a panel this year because we only got like 3 weeks. I'm sure those are already locked down. But I do want to try to find somebody there so we can schedule one for next time. I'm a little disappointed. I actually got like an inside track. Oh yeah, we'll open up. I finally realized I was talking to the wrong person, or at least talking to the right person about the wrong con, I guess, because they were looking at San Diego Comic-Con now, which is several months down the road. So might wind up with a panel at San Diego Comic-Con instead. I don't know, but yeah. So that kind of got a little screwed up. So we will talk to them at WonderCon, see if we can line it up so we can get it better next year. Our con schedule here is pretty light. Again, we've had a lot of personal drama going on here, a lot of personal tragedy, so we've tried to keep the con schedule light. We get We have WonderCon at the end of March. We have Monsterpalooza at the end of May. Creep IE Aftermath has been moved up to July. And I'm not signed up yet, but I probably will be. Son of Monsterpalooza in October. Now that the worst has happened, I am looking to see if I can't add a few more to the schedule. There's one called Sinister Creature Con up near where my dad's house is. Well, it's not my dad's house anymore because my dad's gone. Looking to try to get into that one. There's a couple smaller ones that we passed on again because of things. We passed on HorrorCon, which I probably would have passed on anyway because I'm not really happy with that con. We passed on Halfway to Halloween, which is looking for vendors right now. We had mixed feelings with Halfway to Halloween. I think it's a fun con, or fun Halloween festival, I should say. It's not really a con. It's an outdoor festival. Problem with outdoor festivals is it's outdoors. First time we did it, we got rained out. We had to move our booth because it was flooded. And considering that you're selling books, that's kind of an issue. And the mosquito problem where they hold that thing is, ugh. But the festival itself was really good. They had rides, they had food trucks, they had haunt mazes. I would really recommend checking out. I'm hoping that one grows because that one was really nice. I like that one. Just outdoor events can be tricky sometimes. It's kind of a thing. There's also Hauntmare Expo up in Fresno, which again, there's a bit of a debate in the Morgan household. We decided to pass on it mostly because of our schedule this year. Because it is a bit of a time sink. It's about 4 hours away. You have to take the whole weekend. You have to get hotels. And it is a great convention for the Fresno area. And what I mean by that is if you want to attract vendors from out of the area, it has to be big enough that they can make enough money that they can recoup their losses and make a profit. Hauntmare Expo last year was not quite that big. It was big enough that we could break even, which was good. Hopefully it will grow. They were very, very pro feedback. They wanted to know what they could do to make things better. They wanted the convention to grow. So hopefully this year will be better than last year. Last year I didn't think was that bad. I enjoyed it. But it was a lot of effort to break even. I can do that locally with way less trouble. So now if you live near Fresno, I highly recommend going to it. I mean, again, if I didn't have to have a hotel room, I would have made a profit. If I didn't have to drive 4 hours up and 4 hours back, could have made a profit. So I did fairly well, just not well enough to warrant all that extra travel right now, especially with everything going on. So hopefully in the next few years, it'll keep growing, keep going, getting bigger. And then I'm struggling to try to get into it. And then when I do, I actually make some really good money. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that for them. There's another, not really a convention, but sort of a rotating showcase. They have multiple shows throughout the year called Monster Mall. I am taking a look at that. There are vendor applications open for various events that they're doing throughout the year. I kind of want to go check one out first. There was another similar one I checked out. That's where I met Eric Williford. Just very, very small, kind of pop-up kind of thing, which was really nice and it was really fun. So that might be a fun thing to get into, especially since they're scattered, right? So you're not really committed to every single one, and you just kind of, pop in for a day and then you're done. And then like, do you want to do the one next month? Nah, I got things next month. I'll catch you on February, that kind of thing. I don't know. So But these are all horror conventions that I usually find. I need to find more either like literary fair kind of thing, or I would like to find some more sci-fi conventions because I do have this whole other franchise that doesn't get any love that I would love to get out there and show to people. Horror conventions seem to be very easy to find, at least in this area. So I don't know why that is. So I need to keep an eye out. I know, like somewhere around November, there was an OC book fair I was trying to get into and never heard back from them. So I need to look into that. I do know there is coming up LA Festival of Books, which should have been a really big event for us. We did it one year. It was a huge loss. I don't really know why that didn't work better. There's just so many people that were just there to like check out celebrities and like weren't interested in books. And it's like, well, but you're in a book fair. The event itself was very well run, very well organized. I mean, it was a very well done event. Just wasn't getting the love from the crowds. I don't know why that is. I mean, again, so many people that were walking by saying like, I don't read. Why did you come to the LA Festival of Books? I don't get it. And I think basically they wanted to see celebrities. That was all they're interested in. I had better luck at the Miami Book Fair when I did that, to be honest. And that one was a huge loss because of the fact that it was way on the other side of the country. So I had to pack up, get a hotel, drive all the way across. Got rained out. Again, outdoor event. Um, but and I only had like 3 books at the time. Like I got a collection of about 7 now, or 6. 6 working on my 7th. That's where we're at right now. And no, I did better then. I think I would do better there now because one of the things they were doing is they were bringing in um, junior high and high school students on Friday. So there were a lot of kids. And at the time, I was like, yeah, this is kind of an adult book. And I remember one kid. He's like, I've seen things, big badass 14-year-old. Anyway, but now I have my first YA. I'm already started on my second YA book, so I would have something to offer for a younger reader now. So I think if I did Miami Book Festival, I would be way better off this time than I was last time. Let's get on to this week's showcase. I found this guy advertising on, I believe, TikTok, and I'm like, well, let's give this guy a shot. And I found it on Audible, which was really handy because, again, driving up and down to my dad's, it was a short read, so I got through it basically on the round trip. Um, actually, I pretty much finished it by the time I got to my dad's because it took me about 10 to 12 hours to drive up there. And that was just enough time to get through the audiobook. And we are talking about Cracked Altar by David Viergutz. So this is book 1 of the Otherworld Archives. So just give you a little snippet of the back here. When darkness falls, evil rises. John's life is a living nightmare. Any chance of digging himself out of the abyss disintegrated long ago. Fired, discredited, buried under crippling debt, and isolated in a West Texas ghost town, he is both a pariah and a wanted man. Under an investigation for a crime he didn't commit, he's quickly running out of allies, and even more rapidly, losing his grip on reality. Late at night, long after lights have gone out, it's there. He doesn't know where it is, and what it wants with him. It lurks in the shadows, bidding its time. Before it strikes, it beckons him. If he heeds its demands, he has no way of knowing what awaits him. If he ignores it, the outcome may be worse. Far worse. So this is one of the better books that I've read. This is one of the better books that I've read. So the author, from what I've read in the bio, has a background in police investigations, and he leans heavily on that when writing this book. This is about a homicide detective, and this isn't two spoilers, this is like chapter 1. This is a homicide detective that basically got burned out and assaulted a very rich person, and he was railroaded. Nobody would hire him anymore. He got fired, and so he winds up in this rinky-dink little town as a deputy. And then there's a missing persons incident. He's pinned for it, and it starts going on from there. When the book starts, we're actually reading his journal entries because he's in therapy because of all this. And then it goes to a police report for the missing woman. And I kind of was getting the vibe that the whole book was going to be like this, like very, very procedural. It reminded me a little bit about the Cheney brothers book, where the whole book was written as reports and log entries. Very, very realistic and I don't want to say almost like a history lesson kind of thing. But after we get through a few journal entries in the incident report, we actually go to a more traditional chapter structure where everything is told third person, but from John's perspective. John Nova's the former cop in question. A few things that I thought was very interesting about that. First of all, I've never thought about being stalked by a building before, which was kind of a cool concept. So the incident in question happens at this abandoned church, and again, this is like by the time you hit chapter 1, so I'm not spoiling anything. But what's really creepy about the thing is, as he's driving around, he keeps seeing the church like in the distance, right? Like the whole building is following him. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of creepy. I like that. That's cool. Once we get towards the end, we kind of get into some like timey-wimey stuff where it seems like people are, time becomes non-linear and things fold on it. It's almost like they fall into the TARDIS and they get lost in the TARDIS kind of thing. It kind of had that vibe towards the end. Again, creepy, weird, not 100% confident it stuck the landing, didn't blow it. It's not a horrible ending, but I don't know, it kind of on the fence about how well I thought that worked myself. But overall, I thought it was a very strong book. I do think we got that middle of nowhere Texas vibe going to it on top of everything else, which is, again, kind of a fun location for horror, especially when we're talking about the good old fashioned kind of more Lovecraftian demons from other dimension type horror kind of thing. It is very vague as to what's happening, who's behind it. Never really kind of answers those questions. Maybe it's living it up for Otherworld Chronicles #2, maybe. I don't know. But again, very solid, very entertaining read, and very high in the creep factor. So, again, check out Cracked Altar by David Viergutz, and I hope I'm not butchering his name. You can check out more of his work at www.davidviergutz.com, and I hope you enjoy it. So I know we're a little on the short side for this episode. I mean, last one I think I rambled on for close to an hour. This one we're wrapping up closer to the 30-minute mark, which is usually what I try to aim for anyway. Again, I apologize. A lot of things are going on. I am feeling a bit overwhelmed, but I think in a couple of weeks things will calm down and I'll be back to just being whelmed. So bear with me for a little bit longer, and we should have some really good interviews and events coming up in the next few months. So stick with us. I really do want to concentrate on improving this podcast and making it better. If you want to support the podcast, try this again. If you want to support the podcast, remember we do have a Patreon, patreon.podbean.com/Indie Author Showcase. You also have our merch on our website, shopspectrumlink.com, where you can find any of our Indie Author Showcase merch, t-shirts, mugs. We just put up a beach towel and a tote bag, which looks really nice. You can also support the podcast by attending any of the conventions that I have mentioned and visiting us at the booth. Again, if you have one of my books already, bring it to the booth and I will autograph it for you for free. If you don't have any of my books, you can visit us at the booth and pick one up, and I will autograph it for free. And if nothing else, you can always go to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or Audible, iTunes, or our own website and pick up any of our books. There's 5 and growing so far. If you like sci-fi comedy, we have Intergalactic Space Force. If you want more brutal horror, we have the Last Rite series. If you're more of a younger or casual reader, we have our Short Bite sub-series, which is geared for a more easier read. Get any of those books, leave us a 5-star review on Amazon, Audible, Goodreads, Barnes & Noble for that matter, anywhere that you got to book, leave a 5-star review. Everyone helps. Got to feed the algorithm because it's all about the algorithms. So thank you for your support. Thank you for your understanding during these tough times. And until then, keep on reading.